I went to my best friend's wedding and spent the weekend with incredible, loving couples who had been together for decades and were still madly, deeply in love with each other. Now, I was a single mom for 1,000 years, and I got to the point where I didn't think it was ever going to be possible for me to find an awesome husband, and until I went to this wedding. And then I had a revelation, 3 actually. I realized if it can happen for one of us, it can happen for all of us. I realized I wasn't going to attract a badass husband unless I felt like a badass when I walked out the door, and no one would love me unless I loved myself. And what did she have that I didn't? She had confidence. She had self-love, super high self-worth, and certainty. She knew she was going to meet her soulmate. She told me all the time, every day. And then she did meet him. I knew that I had to get those things. And I decided that a relationship goal is no different than any other goal. And I was ready to put that hypothesis to the test. I wanted an awesome husband. The desire to have a relationship like the one I had dreamed of having my whole life had been put in my heart because it was meant to be for me. So I put every goal achieving method I knew in place, and I got to work on myself. And that's exactly what this book is all about. I'm reading from my book, Becoming Mrs. Stanley. Everything I did from my best friend's wedding to my last first date with my now husband, John. And I wanted to write a book about it because I think it's strategies to help others. And now I'm helping singles attract their love of their life by transforming their lives. But I wanted to talk about my boss list, which is chapter 3. Because the realization that I wasn't going to attract a badass unless I felt like a badass was a big one. Hit me right in the gut that day. And this is all true. Because I hadn't done the things that I needed to do, in my own life, then I felt less than my best. And I was attracting people who also felt less than their best, because like is always going to attract like, right? And so I asked myself, why don't I feel like a badass? Like what specifically? Like what is wrong with you? Why don't you feel like you're awesome? So, okay, well, there's a couple of things that I really, really need to do for myself. So I wanted to tell you about them. I think I already did one video before, but it's been a while, and I wanted to talk about a couple specific things I don't think I talked on the other one. First of all, I just wrote like a list of things that I've been procrastinating on. I felt overwhelmed. I don't know if you're like me. I felt overwhelmed all the time. I told myself the story over and over again that I have to do so much. I have to be on all the time. I have to do this. I have to do this. I have to be a slave to my kids. And I really wanted to be a good mom. And so I sacrificed my own self-care and my own needs because I felt like that was what was expected of me, and I had to do it by myself. And so I know if you're a single mom, you probably feel the same way. When are we supposed to do anything? When am I supposed to go to a dentist appointment, So that was one of them, was that, anything that bothered me or anything that I would feel like, I thought I really would prefer this to be different, but I'm avoiding this because I really don't want to deal with it. Or if I'm embarrassed about, like I was, what was I going to say? If you accomplish one of those things, accomplish any of those things that are like, I really don't want to deal with this, or I'd really feel better if this were different. That's how you know that it's something, if you would do it, you would feel like a badass. So that's on your boss list, or feel like a boss. I call it my boss list because I don't know. I don't want to offend anybody by calling it the badass list. And it doesn't sound as good. I think boss list sounds better. But anyway, I divided it up into 4 categories. The most important thing to me are my family, my health, my finances, and my environment, so my home. I needed dental work because I have this weird thing where I was born without teeth. I don't know. So I had 3 adult teeth not there, and they were never there. And I needed to so I had like 3 baby teeth still hanging on for dear life. They were supposed to last, I don't know, 10, 12 years, I guess they're supposed to usually when they fall out. And I'm 38 years old, and so I really needed to do it. It was stupid expensive, and I just got a care credit card and put it on a credit card to get that first one done. It's ridiculous. I had to get implants, and I got braces, and I mean it's a gajillion dollars later, finally done. But getting braces wasn't about thinking that I wasn't worthy of having a badass husband unless I had perfect teeth. It's just that it's something that I really wanted to do. So I had one pulled, and I had crooked teeth, and it's just something that I just like everything to be straight. you know, and I know that Europeans think we're completely psychotic about our health. I mean, about our teeth, but I just think they look better when they're straight. I like everything to be straight, teeth included. And so things like that. And I hadn't done my, you know, annual exams. I hadn't really been proactive about my health. And so I put that on my list. Got my blood work done, went to the doctor, did annuals, just to get it, you know, health is important. And then the other thing I really wanted to work on was I knew I would feel better if I would drop a few pounds, but I wanted to practice self-love. I wanted to dispel those beliefs forever that I had to be a certain weight to be loved. And so I got rid of the scale because I don't believe it matters what you weigh, and you're beautiful and amazing no matter what that scale says, so throw it away. And I just made a goal. So I made a quantifiable goal that I would just move my body 5 days a week. That's it. Things that I like to do. I quit my gym. I really didn't at the time like to do weights. I just don't want to do it. And I do now, which is weird. I go with John. But I decided what I love the most is hiking and yoga. So I just did those 5 times a week and anything else. Stop putting so many rules on myself, you know? For my finances, I really thought that I was a big piece of shit because I had IRS debt. And, you know, I shifted that thinking because I'm not less worthy of a husband if I have IRS debt. And you're not less worthy of a husband if you have a credit card debt or if you don't have as much as savings. But what I found is that I just put in a goal and then focus on the progress. I just worked it off little by little by little by little. And I hadn't even paid it all off by the time I met John. I mean, I had to tell him that on the first date, and I did. And I had a big number. And so when I focused on that number, I just felt like shit. And when I focused on it being 0, and I just put an automatic payment in plan, I didn't even look at the statements at all. I never looked at them. Because it was going to be 0, it was going to be 0. And that inner bitch, you would always jump in every once in a while, and she would say, "You're a loser, you suck, you know, no one's ever going to want to marry you with that much debt." I would say, "Nope, it's 0, it's going down, it's going down, it's 0. I'm going to party when it's 0. I would visualize what the party celebration I was going to have. I visualized the trip I was going to take with my kids. I'm going to take them to Disneyland. We're going to have so much fun and stay at a super nice hotel when it was 0. So we're going to celebrate and focus on the progress. That's what's important. My environment, well, I mean, I spent so much work on my home because I don't know about you, but when I was raising 2 kids alone and they were little, my house was a total disaster. And so it really wasn't until I little by little, you know, changed each, you know, room, got rid of old things, you know, read a couple feng shui things, and I made a sanctuary for myself where, you know, I felt really good in my room, and it was my own personal, you know, oasis. That's, it changes your feelings. It changes your own, you know, mental health, really. It creates more joy because mess is always going to attract stress. Mess is always going to be stress, and you're always going to attract mess. So you really don't, you know, I believe that disarray and disorder attract disarray and disorder into your life. And that's why it was so powerful for me to go, I feel like this is one of the reasons that one of the things that are keeping me stuck. I'm looking around. I would be so embarrassed if anybody came over to my house and saw it this way. If I was dating someone new or someone I didn't know or some amazing dude, you know, knocked on the door and it was Mr. Right, I would have slammed the door in his face. And then I thought, okay, so if I would make him wait, if I met the love of my life and I would make him wait, what would I be doing? And then I decided I'm gonna do all that now. So that anytime I was ready, no matter what, I cleaned up one drawer at a time, one closet at a time, and I just felt great, better and better every single day. And then my family. So I really think that, you know, you can't really quantify having being a good mom or being a good wife or being a good sister. My family goals my family relationships are the most important ones to me. So I decided what it meant to be for me to achieve a relationship goal, which would be, I would be kind. I would spend, you know, I'd read to my kids every night. We would eat dinner at the table most nights. And so that when I went to bed, if it was a really bad day and, you know, we had Cheerios for dinner or whatever, if we played a game and I read to them, well, then I was still doing okay because that's the most important thing to me. That's how I decided I was to be a mom, and everybody's the same. Everybody's different, not the same. everybody's different. And, you know, we all should decide what it means to be a good mom to our kids, because we know our kids the most. So those are a few of those you know, revelations I talk about. My Bosslist is an entire chapter by itself, and how I focus on that progress and grew my self-esteem by focusing on my goals and focusing inward. And it is a strategy. It's one of the many strategies in my, I'm sharing with everybody now, because I want everybody to attract the love of their life, and everybody deserves love that lasts a lifetime. And if you want to read more about my strategies, you can go to my website. I have lots of free things, free downloads. I've got a free newsletter and lots of tips and strategies. And if you want to check it out and you don't want to miss anything, so you want to subscribe to my channel when you get a sec. And so you don't miss any strategies and tips, so that you can attract the love of your life. Because I think it's possible for one of us. It's possible for all of us, even you. Wishing you lots of love. Mwah.